Hey guys, welcome back to the Grower's Corner. So our second video this week, I wanted to do something that would tie in with our first video, and so I decided to talk about nutrient lockout and or toxicity. Now, what they are and why they're important and how they interact with each other is something you are going to need to know and something that you're going to need to think about, again, while planning and setting up your nutrient schedule or nutrient regimen. So let's get started. Nutrient toxicity, obviously, is basically having either way too many nutrients in quantity all at once, right? Just feeding the piss out of it. Or it is traditionally known as where we talked about macronutrients and micronutrients, right? And they interact with each other by requiring bits of one another to do the processes that they are assigned. When you have too much nitrogen, right, you lock out the plant's ability to consume and process the other chemicals that it needs. When you, in reverse to that, when you have too much of one thing, nitrogen, you inadvertently, even if you have it, if it is present, because there's so much of one thing, you have or you get lockout, which is basically the absence of another thing because of that. So now, and lockout, like I said, you can have it present, but because there's so much of one thing, that thing is not being used because that process is being shut down. It's not working properly. The same thing it goes with toxicity. You can have too much of a micronutrient that stops the plant's digestion of a macronutrient, even though there's plenty of the macronutrient available. It just doesn't have what it needs to function for that process to work properly. And so what happens is you can inadvertently create it because you are just paying attention to macronutrients, and even though the micronutrients were there, because you haven't been supplementing them throughout, etc., 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 things start to shut down, processes start to slow down, things start to go wrong, because especially in a hydro situation where the plant is completely dependent upon you, if you do not have all of those elements present, you can get lockout and or toxicity very, very quickly. Soil gives you a little bit of buffer because there's decomposing material taking place, so you're getting some of those nutrients long term, and so they're available all the time. And a lot of times toxicities occur of macronutrients because of a lack of or possible lockout of micronutrients that either were or are no longer available to the plant. So it's something to consider when mixing your regimen, when looking through your grow journal and you look, okay, Monday was nitrogen, Tuesday was calcium, Monday was nitrogen, I need to hit some copper and some zinc in there, so that, and magnesium, things like that, so that things can keep going, because the last time I did it was 2 weeks ago, whatever. That's something that you need to keep in mind so that everything can metabolize properly. Just something to think about, guys. And like I said, I just wanted to talk about it because it ties in with what we were talking about last week in the macronutrients and micronutrients and things that you need to have available. Well, this is why. So again, this is the Grower's Corner.